we'll get started. So hello, I'm Quinn, and this is Open Awareness Yoga. And today we're working with upper back flexibility. So hopefully you gathered the props that you need: a strap, 2 books or 2 yoga blocks, and a blanket or a bath towel. Yeah, and we'll just go ahead and get the bath towel folded, and then I'll tell you a little bit about what we'll be working on, what will make this all about upper back stuff. So for the towel, you just fold it in half, once, twice, and then make a roll the long ways, moving it right down like this. And then we'll put it vertically on the mat, and we'll lay down over it. So set the rest of your props to one side. You won't need them right away. Sit right in front of that towel roll and lay your spine right over it. And if it's uncomfortable at the head end, you might have room to fold the top of it over to support your neck a little bit more. And if that doesn't work for you, you might slide one of your books underneath the towel and underneath your head so that your neck isn't hurting. And then here, bring the arms out to a T, either straight or bent 90 degrees at the elbow. And close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Make any adjustments that you need. And then let your shoulder blades fall down to the floor. They'll probably be falling on either side of the blanket roll, and they probably won't be touching the floor. You can do anything that's comfortable with your legs. Knees can stay bent, or you might straighten your legs or even find butterfly, although we won't be here for too long. And just to give you a lay of the land of today's class, we're going to be opening up through the muscles of the chest, finding some stability, or some movement through the shoulder blades, which can often be stuck kind of on the back in one spot. So we're going to try and open those up, and then work on finding some back bending from the upper spine. So that's the spine between the shoulder blades. This will look like working with the arms, the shoulder blades, and the upper body. And of course, we'll be working with the whole body because it's yoga. And when we move one part, we really affect the whole. So here, let's interlace the fingers, and then flip the palms away from your face up to the sky. Look at your thumbs, stretch them away from one another and towards your knees. And as you inhale, reach your arms straight overhead. Notice if your ribs have popped up and off the blanket roll. If they have, settle them down. Your hands and arms might not reach the floor behind you. That's not the point. Feel the shoulder blades, how they've changed with the arms overhead. Can you release them, give them a little bit of freedom? And maybe your hands fall a little closer down towards the floor beneath you. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. And as you inhale, lift the arms back up towards the sky. And then change the interlace. So your other index finger is on top. Stretch the palms up and away from you. And as you inhale, reach them overhead. Settle your ribs down towards the towel roll. Let your shoulder blades fall off of the ribs. No extra holding in the backside body. Straighten your arms as best you can. Take another deep breath in and a deep breath out. Next, inhale, bring your arms overhead. Bend your elbows, release the hands. Then roll off your blanket roll to one side. Come to sit up. And quite simply, we'll just take that roll and move it horizontally. We'll come to lay back down over it, another supported back bend here. So when you lay down, it should be about the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. Your arms and shoulders will be on the floor on the head side of the blanket roll. And then you can adjust to find your own sweet spot. Here, just to get settled, bring the arms back out to goalpost arms or just to a T. And if you'd like here, if you didn't on the other variation, you can take butterfly legs. So bring the soles of your feet together and let the knees open wide. Then pick up your buttocks, scoot it towards your heels and place it back down. This helps us lengthen the low back, which is important when we're doing any kind of back bending, as the low back tends to overarch in many bodies. So just notice how it feels to have the chest opening passively over the blanket roll. Deepen your breath. Smooth it out. And again, let your shoulder blades just sort of go. Here we'll take some arm variations. So grab opposite elbows over your chest. And as you inhale, reach the arms overhead, letting the arms come to rest on the floor behind you. And again, softening the back ribs down into the blanket roll towards the floor. Now, as you take a deep inhale, can you feel your collarbones spread wide? And then exhale all the air out, becoming heavier to gravity down to the earth. Every inhale, feel your chest and upper back expanding as the lungs fill with air. And let all the air out on every exhale. If at any time your legs need to change position, please do so when you need it. Let's just release the arms overhead and then bring them back over the chest and put your opposite forearm on top. So the hands will probably feel weird the way they're gripping your arms. That's how you know. Inhale to bring those arms overhead and settle down to the earth as you breathe deep. And here we're starting with some passive opening, and you might already start to notice the areas that feel tighter in your body or more loose and ready. Trust your practice. Things will change. Now release the arms. Bring them back out to the sides of the body. And slowly bring your knees together. Toe heel the feet as wide as the mat. Let the knees knock in towards one another. And give the inner groins a few moments to rest. And only when your body feels ready to move, you'll roll to one side. Press yourself up and off of that blanket roll. And we'll take the blanket or your towel and unroll it and fold it just one more time. You might have to adjust this fold. It'll be a pillow for your head. So place it at the head end of the mat and come to lying on your side with your head on that blanket and your bottom arm streaming out in front of you. And if it feels like the head is falling too far down towards the floor, just make another roll in the blanket so that you have the proper amount of height. And then see to it that the back of your head and the tailbone are in line. Bring your knees in front of the hips and the feet straight down from the knees. Bring your top arm long along the top side of the body, like you were putting your hand into a pocket. And now as we inhale, you'll lift that arm up and overhead. And as you exhale, you'll bring it back to where it started. Move with your breath. Inhale to lift the arm up and over. Exhale to bring it back where it started. You might even close your eyes and free this movement so that you're using the least amount of effort And you're observing the coordination between shoulder blade, arm, ribs. Notice if the movement is smooth or is it jagged or ragged. What can you do to smooth it down? And take one more full round on your own. When you finish, you'll just leave that upper arm along the body as we began. So we'll call this position neutral, just right here where your shoulder is. The next thing we'll do is inhale and roll your shoulder down towards your chest. Move your shoulder blade away from the spine. So you're kind of slumping forward with the top shoulder. And as you exhale, you'll bring it back to neutral, where you started. So do this movement a number of times with your own breath. And the purpose of this is to not only come to sense the quality of your movements and all of the different directions the shoulder blades move in, but also to smooth out the movement and free any gripping muscles. This is the type of work I do if I wake up with a crick in my neck or I'm having some back pain. Just this very simple movement can really help. So we'll finish up this round. Rest for a minute at neutral. Turn everything off. And then we'll go backwards. Okay, so as you inhale, you'll roll the shoulder back, pull your shoulder blade closer to your spine. And then exhale, return to neutral. Smooth this out. Observe. And let this also be an exercise in breathing. Notice if there's any other areas of your body, maybe the jaw or neck, that want to get involved and tense up. Just notice. Take one more shoulder moving back. Bring it back to neutral and then rest completely. Last thing we'll do on this side, make big exaggerated rolls with the shoulders. So drop that shoulder forward, lift it up towards your ear, then pull it back. Shoulder blade moves down towards the hips and it rolls forward again. Smooth this out. Let's take 3 or 4 in this one direction. And when you feel done, switch direction, moving back, down, forward, and up. When you're done, come to rest in neutral. Turn everything off. And we'll come onto the belly. Set your blanket aside and bring whatever was your top arm straight out to a T, palms face down. And then turn your head away from the arm. And we're going to roll over onto that same arm side of the body. So we're basically going to crush that arm underneath us to stretch through the pec muscles. So as you roll onto that side of the body, you can bend your knees to find more stability in this shape. And if you need this blanket under your head, grab it and place it back underneath there. Now here you might move where your bottom arm is in space to feel the right place in your chest open and stretch. And if you don't feel much of anything, take whatever your now top arm is, press it down into the floor to press a little bit more of your weight back on the arm. Some people like to bring that top arm back behind them so the shoulder blades both move in towards the spine. That can be pretty intense. And we won't be here for too long. Just trying to open up through the pec muscles. Opening up anything that might restrict us from finding mobility in the upper back. All right, we'll release this. So roll back onto your belly. Bring both of your arms down by the sides and let the shoulders slump. Just take a rest for a moment. And then we'll roll onto your second side. So you'll lay on the other side, placing your towel pillow underneath your head. Line up the back of your head with your tailbone, 90 degrees at the hips and at the knees. To start, just place your top arm along the side of the body and rest on your side. And then we'll begin with the breath. So as you inhale, lift the arm up, bring it overhead. And exhale, bring it back to the side body. Continue. Even if this might be irritatingly slow and boring, can you notice that? Notice that reaction. And cultivate more curiosity and interest in the subtleties of your own shoulder. It's there with you all the time. Maybe that's why it's easy to not pay attention to it. Just take one more. And when you're done, you'll let the top arm rest and turn everything off. The next exercise, as we inhale, you round the shoulder forward and move the shoulder blade away from the spine. Exhale, bring it back to neutral. Continue. Noticing any jumping, jagged parts of this movement, and smoothing them out as best you can. And just check to make sure you're not rushing. It's not about getting it done, it's about getting inside. That takes time. To finish up here, turn everything off. And now we'll go back. So as you inhale, roll the shoulder back, move your shoulder blade in towards the spine, and exhale back to neutral. Are you starting to get a feel for how your whole body is connected and involves itself in what seems like an isolated and simple movement? Finish up here, last one. And turn everything off. And we'll make those exaggerated circles. So first, dropping the shoulder forward, then rolling it up towards the ear, back, down, around, and forward. Taking 3 or 4 of these. And then changing directions. You might have little crinkles and pops going on. And then find stillness. And here we'll do that pec stretch. So you come onto your belly. Whatever arm was on top is now out to a T, palms face down. And then we roll over onto that same side, bending your knees up for support. You might use a pillow, you might not. And you might move where your arm is, up or down, until you feel a nice stretch where you like it. Any numbness or tingling, come out of this shape either a little bit until it goes away or just move out of it completely. Take some deep breaths. Notice what your shoulder blade is doing. All right, come back onto the belly. Bring your hands by your hips and slump your shoulders down. Just rest completely. And Now bring your hands underneath your shoulders and press yourself up onto hands and knees. If you need extra padding, put your blanket underneath your knees. Just a couple rounds of cat-cow here. Inhale to lift your heart, lift your hips, feel what your shoulder blades are doing. Exhale to round the spine up to the sky. Notice what your shoulder blades are doing here. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale to come back to neutral. Exhale, stay. As you inhale, lift your right arm up to the sky, open your chest to the right and look up. Exhale, swipe the right arm underneath the left and bring the right side cheek to the ground. Take a deep breath in. Feel your shoulder blade move away from the spine. Breathe out fully. One more breath in. One more breath out. Inhale, come back to tabletop, hands and knees. Exhale, stay. Inhale, left arm lifts up to the sky, look up. Exhale, swipe left arm underneath the right. Inhale into the left shoulder blade, exaggerating the stretch. Exhale, stay. Another deep breath in and deep breath out. Inhale, come back to tabletop. Here, walk your hands forward. And then release your forehead down to the earth. So it's kind of like a downward facing dog in the upper body. Hips stay over the knees. Keep your forearms lifted off the ground. And then stretch your armpits open as you release your chest down and back towards the thighs. In this heart melting pose or puppy dog pose. Notice what your shoulder blades are doing and how it feels in your upper back. And then check in with your lower back. Notice if your lower back is really back bending here, if your butt's sticking up into the air. And if that's you, reach your tailbone away from the rest of the spine to lengthen the low back. Take another deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Come back into tabletop. And then grab your blanket and take a cross-legged seat. So you'll sit on top of that blanket. And here, grab hold of your right collarbone. And then firmly hold it down and lift your chin up and to the left, stretching the chin diagonally away from the right collarbone. Relax your jaw and then breathe, getting a stretch into these front neck muscles. Loosen your grip on your collarbone, bring your chin back parallel to the earth and change sides. Hands on that left collarbone. Lift the chin diagonally up to the right. Breathe. Loosen your jaw. Notice the connection, jaw into neck, into collarbone, into ribs. And then loosen your grip, bring your chin back to parallel. Inhale, lift the arms overhead. Exhale, twist to the right. Stay. Place your left hand on your right knee, your right fingertips behind you. Revolve the navel from left to right. And then reach the left shoulder blade away from the spine. Pull the right shoulder blade in towards the spine and twist a little deeper. Take a deep breath in. A deep breath out. And inhale, come back to center, both hands on your knees. The next inhale breath, lift your arms overhead. Exhale, twist to the left. Hold on to that left knee. As you inhale, reach the right shoulder blade away from the spine. Squeeze your left shoulder blade in towards the spine. And twist a little deeper. So these leveraged twists help open up through the muscles of the upper back, help release some tension, and increase upper back flexibility and mobility. Come back to center and find your way into a plank pose. That's the high part of a push-up. Once you've found your plank, Take an exhale breath into downward facing dog, hips high to the sky, and we'll flow through that. Pay attention to your shoulders as you go. Inhale to shift forward into plank. Exhale, back to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Perhaps you have a little bit more fluidity in your spine or in your shoulders as you move. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Nice. From here, either come down to your knees and step your right foot forward, or just take a big step forward, right foot between the hands, and then lower your left knee down to the ground. As you inhale, bring the arms overhead, shoulders over the hips. Press down through that right heel. Squeeze the outer right hip in towards the midline to activate your front leg. Now release your hands to your heart. Inhale to lift your heart. And as you exhale, twist to the right. You can stay here upright, or to leverage, you'll bring your left elbow to the outer right knee. Some of you may be able to get down so far that the outer left shoulder is on the outer right knee. But do what works for you. Stay at any of those three variations. Move the left shoulder blade away from the spine. Draw the right shoulder blade in towards the spine. And here, let's just release. Bring the hands down to the ground. Curl the left toes under, lift the left knee off the ground, and step back, downward facing dog. Second side, you can come to tabletop first, or step the left foot forward between the hands and lower the right knee down. Inhale, lift the arms overhead. Press down through the left heel, hug the outer left hip in towards the midline, firming up your front leg. Then bring your hands to your heart. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, twist to the left. Stay upright or hinge at your hips and bring your elbow to the outer knee, or hinge a little deeper and bring your outer left shoulder to the knee. And you'll probably have one side that's a little bit easier than the other. Move the right shoulder blade away from the spine. Left shoulder blade draws in towards the spine. And let's release. Bring both hands back to the floor. Curl your right toes under. Lift the right knee off the ground. Step back, downward facing dog. Bend and straighten your knees a few times. And then bring them to, well, maybe not straight, but stillness. Press down through the entire palms of your hand, especially the inner edges, thumb and index finger root. Bend your elbows very slightly, then wrap your triceps down towards the ground. Saying that a different way, we wrap the outer upper arms down towards the ground. Draw your shoulder blades up your back towards your hips. And then press them in towards the ribs, in towards the chest, to bring your chest back and down towards the thighs. Notice your low back. What's it doing? Reach the tailbone away from the rest of the spine. And here, we'll walk the feet forward to the hands. And right away, find your blocks or your books. Place them in your hands, underneath the shoulders. And come up to your Ardha Uttanasana position, that half lift. So here again, bend the elbows very slightly. Wrap the triceps back towards the body. And now reach your sternum, your breastbone, forward between the window of your arms. Shake your head no extra tension in the neck. We draw the shoulder blades down the back towards the hips. Press them down towards the chest. And try to get a little bit of a back bend in the spine between the shoulder blades. You might need to bend the knees quite a lot here to focus more on this upper body. Again, check in with your low back. Are you really sticking your buttocks up into the sky? If that's you, reach the tailbone away from the spine. I need that reminder pretty constantly. Other people might be like, my hamstrings are way too tight for my buttocks to be lifting up into the sky. We all have such different bodies. Yeah, here we are holding this pose and breathing until I stop talking. All right, so let's set the books off to the side. Bring your hands to your hips. Pull your elbows together behind you. And inhale, come all the way up to standing. Release the hands down by the sides of the body. Make sure you're standing at the front of your mat. We'll take one Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, lift the arms overhead. Exhale, hinge at your hips, fold forward. You can bend your knees and use your books. Inhale, come up halfway. Work on that extension in the upper back you just did. Exhale, find your plank pose. Leave your knees up or lower your knees down to the ground. Inhale into your plank, hold. Wrap your outer upper arms back, reach your heart through and find length in that upper spine, length in the lower spine. Point your tailbone between your heels. We're gonna head down to the ground in a second, so lower your knees down. And as you exhale, bend your elbows straight back as you lower all the way down onto your belly. Now the nose is pointing down towards the floor. Bring your fingertips back so they're at the nipple line. Press the tops of the feet and the toenails down into the ground and reach your tailbone firmly between the heels. Press your pubic bone down into the earth and leave the legs where they are. As you inhale, lift your heart off of the ground. The nose is still pointing down at the ground. We're not crunching through the back of the neck. Exhale, lower. 2 more times. Inhale, lift. Bhujangasana, baby cobra. Exhale, lower. This time as you inhale, lift, spread the collarbones wide. Exhale, lower. Bring one cheek down to the ground. Then bring the arms down by the sides of the body, palms facing in. The thumbs will be down towards the ground, pinky fingers up. Bring the forehead to the ground or the nose to a hover. Press down through the tops of the feet. Lift the knees, but keep the feet grounded. Roll your shoulders away from the earth. Reach your tailbone between the heels. And as you inhale, lift the thumb tips off of the ground. Reach the fingertips back so much that your heart lifts off the earth. Hold here and breathe. Any low back pain, you want to really reach that tailbone between the heels or come out of this. Next inhale, breath spreads the collarbones. Notice what your shoulder blades are doing. And exhale, lower everything. One cheek to the ground. Rest completely. Bring your hands back underneath the shoulders. Press back up into hands and knees. And find your downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Check in with your shoulder blades and your upper back. Next exhale breath, walk your feet forward to the hands. Fold down. Now notice how your upper back is rounding. Breathe. Inhale, come up halfway. Really extend the upper back long. Find a bit of a dip in between the shoulder blades. Continue to breathe. Press down into your feet. Listen closely. Lift the arms and stream them behind you, same as you did when you're on your belly. Roll your shoulders away from the ground. Keep reaching the arms back, and as you inhale, come up to standing with a nice broad chest. Nice. Now take a quarter turn to face the long side of your mat and step your feet apart wide. Inhale, lift your arms to a T. Now soften the top of the shoulders, those upper trapezius muscles. And from the right hip socket, turn the right leg out, angle the left toes in. Inhale here, shoulders stay stacked over hips. As you exhale, bend into your right knee. Don't let the shoulders move forward of the hips yet. We're taking a warrior 2. Press down into the outer left foot. Lift the inner left thigh away from the ground. Feel strength in that back leg. Keep that strength. This is where we're coming from. As you inhale, reach your right arm forward and then release right elbow to right thigh. Swing the left arm down, forward, and overhead, palm facing down towards the ground. Now there's a super strong energy of the left foot connected into the earth, and that energy rebounds from the left leg all the way up past the left shoulder blade, out through the left fingertips. One more deep breath in. And exhale, come back, warrior 2. Left leg still strong. And we'll straighten through the right leg, hands to the hips, parallel your feet, second side. From the left hip socket, turn the left leg out, angle the right toes in. Inhale, lift the arms out to a T. Shoulders stay stacked right over the hips. Inhale here. Keep your shoulders over the hips. Exhale into warrior two. Bend your left knee. Now pay attention to your right leg. We want to make that right leg firm without locking out through the right knee joint. That's where we're coming from. So push through the right heel as you reach the left fingertips forward, left elbow to the thigh, right arm swings down and overhead. Keep pressing down, grow roots through your right foot. Feel that sensation of pushing force into the earth and that force reacting and moving up the right side of your body, moving out through the right fingertips. Come back to warrior two. Shoulders come right over the hips and straighten the left leg. Release your hands to the hips, parallel the feet. We'll head from here into warrior one. So turn all 10 toes to the right side of the mat. And then your back toes, open them up to the left slightly, and you might even step the left leg over to the left slightly. So you're standing more on train tracks than a tightrope. So bend into the right knee. Deep bend or not so much of a bend, it doesn't matter. Again, pay attention to this back leg. Try and press that back leg back behind you. And we'll take eagle arms in this one. So bring the arms out to a T. Inhale. Wrap the right arm underneath the left and either hug your body or cross at the wrists and press your palms together. Same thing. We're breathing into the upper back, rounding the upper back, but softening the tops of the shoulders. You can stay here breathing. You might straighten both legs if you need a break. Or if you're feeling extra energy today, from your hips, begin to hinge forward. Bring your arms and torso on the inside of that right knee until the fingertips touch the ground and your head hangs. If you're in this humble warrior, the folding forward, hug your outer right hip in towards the midline, connect again into the left foot, and breathe between the shoulder blades, all of you. Now with control, if you're folding forward, press down into your feet. Inhale back up to where you came from. Release the arms. Everybody lift them overhead. Then straighten your right leg. Turn to the left. And turn to the left one more time. Release the hands to the hips. And then set your legs to go to the second side. So the left toes face directly forward. Right toes slightly open to the right. You can step your feet wider apart from the midline. And then we bend into the left knee. Now keep that right foot grounded, right leg firm. Bring your arms out to a T. Then cross the left arm underneath the right, hugging the body or finding your eagle arms. Soften these top shoulders down. Breathe between the shoulder blades and let the upper back round slightly. Stay here. Come out of it a little for a break. Work on the upper body or hinge forward into your humble warrior. In humble warrior, squeeze your outer left hip into the midline. Let your head hang. Everybody breathe into the upper back and breathe out fully. You know you need a break if you can't control your breath. You can always head down to child's pose and rest. Press down into your feet. Inhale, come back up to your warrior one. Exhale here. Inhale, everybody lift your arms overhead unless you're resting. Nice. And here, lift your right heel off the ground. Turn your knee down towards the ground. And then bring your hands down to the earth to frame the left foot. Step back, downward facing dog. And find child's pose. Bring the knees down to the ground a little wider than the hips. Big toes come to touch. Sink your hips back onto your heels and bring your forehead to the earth. Let your shoulders rest. Breathe. And you can stay here as long as you like and meet back up when you want to. And you got our grand finale coming. And if you don't have the energy for it, just rest and watch. There's stuff that you can learn. You can meet back up when we cool down in just a few poses. So if you're coming along for the ride, come back up to hands and knees and then find a plank pose. All right, reach your tailbone between the heels. Wrap your outer upper arms back, reach your heart forward. Without moving in space, pull the palms back towards your toes, the toes forward towards your palms, so you create an internal tension. Nice, keep that sense of levity in the belly and in the legs. Lower down to your elbows. You're in a forearm plank. Lower your hips so that they're in one line with the shoulders. And breathe. Okay, slowly, slowly lower your knees, thighs, and then hips down to the ground. Come into Sphinx pose. Wrap your outer upper arms back, spread across the collarbones, and reach your heart forward and up. Notice if your low back is back bending too much. Lengthen your tailbone between your knees. Lift your pubic bone up towards your sternum. All right, we have another round of forearm plank. If you don't want to take it, just stay here. If you do, curl your toes under. And before you go, it's very important that we get the low belly turned on. So lift the pubic bone up towards the sternum. Draw the navel into the body, towards the spine. Now press down into the toes. Lift up into your forearm plank. And from here, you can either stay or we'll find a dolphin pose. So elbows are underneath shoulders. Walk your feet in towards your elbows. Pike your hips up into the air. You can bend the knees if the backs of your legs are quite tight. We're working more on the upper body. Let the head hang at first. Now the outer arms wrap back. I know it feels kind of weird to do it here, but it's possible. Shoulder blades are lifting up the back towards the hips. Press them in towards the ribs, in towards the chest. Find that upper back bend. And then maybe look forward. And if that's super crunchy in your neck, if it doesn't feel good, drop your head back down. Breathe. You can always take another Sphinx pose here instead of the dolphin. You can be resting in your child's pose or be watching and eating Cheetos. It really doesn't matter. You're here. All right, bring the knees down to the ground. This time, child's pose with the legs touching. Arms stream back. Backs of the hands on the ground by the feet. Forehead on the earth. Shoulders slump and breathe into the upper back. By the way, I love Cheetos. And there's never a good time to eat them because they make your fingers super dusty. But the fun is like licking the dust off, if you wanted my stance on Cheetos. Oh, that was good. Place the palms on the ground underneath the shoulders. And come to seated. So now if you generally need or enjoy having that support of your blanket or your towel underneath your hips, you can sit up on that. Make sure that your strap is nearby. Some people might need it. And first we'll bring both of the legs straight out in front of you. Pull the toes back towards the face. Bring the hands along the side of the body and lift the heart. Sink both of your sitting bones down into the ground and release the femur, the thighs, down. All right, here we'll bend the right knee. Place the right foot on the floor. And you can pull it in as close as you can to the bum. And just know that that doesn't have to be like yanking it close. As close as you can might be right about the knee. Let's bring the right fingertips behind you. I'll show you from the side. Inhale, lift your left arm overhead. And exhale, twist to the right. You can hug on to that right knee, or you can bring your left elbow onto the outer right knee, just as you did in the beginning. Keep the left toes pulling back towards your face, left leg grounding. And breathe. Left shoulder blade moves away from the spine. Right shoulder blade moves in towards the spine. Notice how this is different from when you began your practice, when we took that twist in the seat with our legs crossed. Hopefully you have some more upper back flexibility. All right, come back to center, but leave the legs right where they are. Here you'll grab your strap, and eventually it will be looped around that left foot. So you might as well go ahead and do that now. Now hold the strap in your left hand and reach your right arm up to the sky, because we want that right side body to be lengthened. You might scoot the right leg slightly out to the right, and then as you exhale, bring the right arm down as close to the foot as you can get it. You can lift the right buttock off of the floor. Again, I'll show you from the side. And this might be enough for you. You may be able to go a little further, depends on your body. If that's you, you'll wrap this right arm around the right leg. And one way to figure out how to do that is to do this kind of robot thing, right? Just like you see me doing. And then that's how we're bending the elbow to channel the right hand behind the back. Now you might be able to reach back with your left hand and grab the right hand. Some people like to use a strap here, so you could do that too. So make the binds behind your back. Either way, you're breathing. And if you have the bind, notice what's going on in your right shoulder blade, right shoulder. Kind of like when we were rolling the shoulder forward during the somatics, that very slow side-lying part of class. All right, and here we'll slowly release. I like to bring my hands down to the floor to help support my spine as I sit back up. And then straighten the right leg. Bring your hands to the side body. Lift the heart. Breathe. And we've got our second side. So bend the left knee, left foot on the floor, left fingertips behind you. Inhale to lift the right arm up to the sky. And exhale, twist to the left, either hugging the left knee or bringing your elbow to the outer left knee. Right shoulder blade moves away from the spine. Left shoulder blade moves into the spine. Twist and breathe. Check in with your right leg. It's still strong. Toes still pulling back towards the face. Come back to center. We've got the second variation of this pose. So you might bring your left foot out to the left slightly, and maybe for you, you're using the strap, pulling the foot towards the face and reaching. If you are using the strap, and even if you're not, you'll just hold on to the strap with the right hand, lift the left arm up into the sky, lengthen that left side body, and then hinge forward any amount, reaching as far down the strap as you can or reaching for your foot. You can lift that left buttock off of the floor. Breathe here. And if you took the bind on the other side, or if this is your loose side and you want to try on this one, we bring that left arm out to the left, bend the elbow, see how my hand's hanging down, and just with the elbow bent, you reach behind you. And then you can take your right hand, reach it behind you and find the bind, or use your strap, kind of lassoing it behind you, holding the strap one in each hand. All of these are great options for this stretch, for this shape. Breathe and notice what this is doing for your body. So release, bring the hands down so that they can help the ascent of the spine. Let's straighten both of the legs out in front of you. Toes pull back towards the face. First, the fingertips are along the side of the body. Lengthen the spine. Inhale, lift the arms overhead. Use the strap around your feet or not. As you exhale, fold forward. Reach for the feet. At first, keep your spine long. So we wrap the outer arms down, we reach the sternum between the window of the arms, but we point the tailbone away from the rest of the spine. All very familiar, right? You can stay upright here, or if you're ready, fold a little deeper. If your elbows do bend, lift them up towards the sky. Soften your upper trapezius, that's the base of your neck, And breathe broad between the shoulder blades. Breathe broad in the chest. Soften your belly. Let the spine round. First, we lengthen the spine on inhale. So breathe in. Find that strength and length. And then sit your shoulders up over your hips. Come to lying on your back with the knees bent and the feet on the floor. Feet hips width distance apart. Knees in line with the heels and the hips. Palms down along the sides of the body. Roll your shoulders underneath you. And for a moment, let yourself just rest in this shape. Just let it all go. And check in with yourself. You have a couple options. We can take an active bridge, or if you've had enough for class today, you take a passive bridge. So you'll take both of your books or maybe one of your blocks, lift up your hips and slide them underneath the buttocks. So the sacrum, that flat bone at the base of the spine, is supported on the books, and the low back can just fall off of the books. If you've got a little more oomph, or you're wanting a little bit more stretch through the shoulders, especially this trap, we'll take a full bridge pose. So press down into the inner edges of the feet. Shoulders are rolled underneath you. As you inhale, lift the hips and reach the tailbone between the knees. Press down and forward with the feet to roll the shoulders further underneath you. And you'll feel the skin of the back of the neck moving down towards your shoulder blades, which is technically up into the air at this point. Now you can stay here. You might interlace your hands underneath you and then take that opportunity to roll the shoulders even further underneath you. Those outer upper arms are rolling quite far back. Then relax the head heavy, soften the throat and the sides of the neck, and then press the shoulder blades up towards the ribs, up towards the chest. It's a lot of work. Pressing into the inner edges of the feet, inner thighs roll down towards the ground. You might be hoping by now that you used the books or the block option. You can always do that. Relax your tongue. Breathe. Now release your palms and slowly roll down to the ground. If you're on the books, lift up your hips, slide them out from underneath you. Let's pull the right knee into the chest. Lengthen the left leg long. Breathe. Bring the right foot to the floor. Pull the left knee into the chest. Lengthen the right leg long. And breathe. Keep your left knee right where it is. Bring the right knee in to meet it. Hugging both of your knees in. Let your low back round. And bring your arms out to a T. Keep your knees into your chest. Inhale here. Exhale, twist the knees to the right. Few breaths resting in this simple supine twist. Feeling your shoulder blades, your upper back. Come back to center. Exhale, knees to the left. Rest completely. Come back to center. Place your feet down on the floor. Bring your arms down along the sides of the body at a comfortable distance away. Turn your palms face up and tuck the shoulder blades underneath you so that they move towards flat on the floor. If you'd like a pillow underneath your head, grab your blanket or your towel, place it under your head. Then one leg at a time, slide the legs straight. Let them be wider than the hips. If you have any low back pain, leave the knees bent. You might toe heel the feet as wide as the mat and let the knees knock in towards one another. Maybe take off your glasses or take out your ponytail. This is our final resting pose, Shavasana. Feel the back of your head heavy on the earth. Feel your shoulder blades heavy on the earth. Feel your buttocks heavy on the earth. Feel your calves spread. And your heels heavy, grounded. Drop deep beneath the fluctuations of mind. The work is done. Rest. Stay here as long as you like. If you would like a gentler practice, but still the Quinn style, I teach on Thursdays, a live stream on YouTube at 5:30 to 6:30. And I always take requests and I love questions. So I'll try to answer anything you want to know about yoga, the body. Thank you for practicing with me. And gratitude to my teachers, the practice of yoga in India, where the practice came to us from.